Thanks for coming back for another video on the Eastport Tower layout. When I originally planned the layout, it was to cover the last few years of the New Haven Railroad as it went out of existence and became the Penn Central, and then 1971 Amtrak taking over, and the first few years ending about 1976. But that all got complicated when I bought the Atlas AEM7. I needed to add a little bit of Conrail equipment for 1980, and I chose to model the Jeep 38-2 in a rare transitional paint scheme. So I painted it black, put the appropriate decals on. You can check 8045, and that was maybe a unique paint scheme. I put the little bit of a straw in there for the light bulb to go into. Luckily, it's a two-piece body shell, all decaled up, and that facing the other direction is the light bulb. That was very handy to be able to put the main part of the body on and then fit that light bulb into the tube so that it will only come out the two lenses. And it's way too new looking, so we wanted to weather it with chalks. Choose the appropriate gray and just kind of rub it on there and then smear it around with the fingers. Do the same with the cab. So after spraying it with some clear dull coat, it was time to do a quick test run. Handrails hadn't been put on yet, but just to make sure that it ran okay and that the headlight shone through the two lenses, which it did. So I was using the old classic Athearn body shell, which meant putting the handrails on, a nightmare that I had really almost forgotten about and certainly hadn't done it for many, many years. So here is our sprayed chassis, which I have to actually put some more chalk on to weather it. Start putting the stanchions, threading them onto the main side handrail there. But since it was painted, I have to use a tool to gently widen all of those holes, which you can destroy them in the process. So you got to go real carefully and then put the main handrail up on there. And then the agony commences of putting in each stanchion and pushing it into the hole intended for it. We're going to need to line these up, and there they are, pretty well lined up, but they slide around quite a bit, so putting a little bit of super glue in to hold the tops of some of the stanchions in place can be helpful. Now the stanchions are pretty well set in place, but it gets worse when you come around to having to do the ends of the locomotive because you can't lay it flat. You have to just pretty much hold it in place and do the same thing with the end stanchions and the handrails. Obviously those are much too bright steel colored to look even minimally realistic, which is about my goal. So we're going to paint those black. Return to this and do more weathering, I'm sure, in the future, but I just wanted to get this on the road and have it look reasonably decent. Alan McClelland had a maxim of good enough for layout building. I sort of changed that to almost good enough. Now let's roll the trains and see what this all looks like with multiple camera angles. We're going to see a couple of Amtrak trains as well. An E60 pulling a New York bound passenger train, and also that new AEM7 roaring through with a train bound for New Haven. So that's my first short Conrail freight train, and I have a couple of Conrail blue U-boats to add in, but I have to do the handrails for those too. I appreciate so much you're taking the time to watch, and I hope you've enjoyed a quick little video here, and we'll be back.